Witchcraft describes use of supernatural powers to achieve earthly purpose. It has existed for centuries, mentioned in the Bible and Greek and Roman mythology. In 14th century Europe, witchcraft and persecuting witches were on the rise. People needed a scapegoat for the plague and any economic downfall and unwanted changes in this time. The first witch hunts were held in France and Germany in the 15th century. In the 16th century, they spread to England and Scotland, where laws were passed against witchcraft. The majority of executions in Scandinavia occurred in the 17th century. Witches were equivalent to Jews and Muslims, trying to bring down the church by poisoning people. Around 75 to 80% of condemned witches were females. Witches were accused if they lived alone, could not have children, had pets, were poor, or were seen as a threat to the general public in any way. They were believed to kill and eat babies, fly, had a mark on their body that was touched by the devil, insensitive to pain, affected the fertility of animals and people, had orgies and mocked Christian sermons in the woods, and killed people. The idea of witchcraft became more popular once it became accepted that the devil existed and was the evil counterpart of God. Although people believed that witches obtained these horrible powers, that was not the only outlook on them. Some witches of this time were considered good witches and used their powers to heal. They were known as white witches. The other witches mentioned before were seen as workers of the devil out to harm people. They were known as black witches. Women were supposed to be able to produce some cures during the Black Death. When they could not, they were seen as witches. In many parts of Europe, witches were tortured until they confessed. However, torture was not used in England. English witches were thought to be able to cast minor spells of love and healing and identify thieves. In England, witches were just hanged and not burned. In other places, they were burned but strangled first. Some people confessed without torture, but that does not mean they were guilty. Sadly, this became a gendercide with the amount of women that were being killed in Europe in the 14th and 17th century. The few men that were condemned were poor peasants or artisans. Not all accused of witchcraft were executed, but those who were wound up being publicly executed. The story we're about to see is a typical case of how one would be wrongly accused and condemned of witchcraft. It begins with a backstory which will allow you to understand how a tragic past could turn into an even more tragic future.
Yes. I'm not feeling very well. I'm afraid that I'm going to catch something deadly. Do you have herbs to cleanse me?
I will put some herbs in your cake and add sugar so you don't taste it. I will bring it to your house tonight.
Thank you so much. I'm Edith, by the way.
Nice to meet you.
What's your name?
Millicent.
Hi, you've been living here for a while now, but we've never spoken.
Yeah. Okay. Hello, Edith. I couldn't find a recipe for a cake, so I made you bread instead.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
No, stay! I just made some tea, and we can enjoy this bread together while we're waiting for my sister who's visiting. I'll introduce you.
Okay.
Come on in. Well, thank you so much for coming.
No
Make
problem.
yourself at home.
Okay, I
I'll
will.
bring some plates and tea. Here's some tea.
Thank you.
Ooh, this looks delicious.
Ooh, yeah.
There you go.
Thank you.
Are you married? Do you have a husband?
No, he passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Well, we should grab some brunch next time.
Yeah. You okay? Hello? Hello? Edith, I brought you. Edith! Are you? Are you okay? Who are you? What did you do? I just made her some bread. You're a witch! A witch! Yeah.
Court official. Millicent,
Yeah.
you have to come with me. You've been summoned to court on the account of witchcraft.
Court is now in session. Today we have Millicent being charged with the accounts of witchcraft. These accounts were made by Meredith last night. We will start with her testimony.
She's a witch, I tell you. I've done my research on Millicent, and it tells me she's a witch. First of all, she's a Jew, so she's out to harm the church and the people of God. She was married, and she could not conceive. Then her husband died from the plague, but probably you poisoned him too. She made bread for my sister, my poor little sister. She was sick, and I came to bring her soup, and she was dead when I got there. And she was dead, and you're a witch!
Very strong case. Millicent, do you have a defense?
I ate a piece of bread too, and I'm fine, obviously. And
did something to yours.
no, I didn't. Okay, rude. My husband died from the plague. I didn't do anything to him. He just, he died from the bubonic.
How can we believe that? We never met your husband.
Well, because I don't know. I mean, good one, good one. When he died, I kept to myself. I was very lonely, and I have a lot of cats.
Well, I have made my decision. Millicent is clearly guilty of witchcraft. Case closed.
Yes! Who's gonna feed my cats now? Satan!
Millicent to the gallows.
Christine won, guys. There she is.
Hey, didn't you die before? I thought I recognized you. She's a witch. She's a witch. She's a witch. She's a witch. I tell me she's a witch. You're a witch.
There's a lyrics video.
Oh, we gotta get it right back to where we started from. Love is good, love can be strong. You gotta get it right back to where we.
I hope you enjoyed our video, Miss Lee.